Hey everyone, welcome to HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are here with Trish and Steve. Hey Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarland, how are you today?
I am slap happy. That's how I am. How are you?
Awesome. I'm good. It's a Monday. We've had such a run of beautiful, hot, like 90 plus degree weather here where I live, and I love it. And then today, I think we might be catching just a touch of the
You're the
first
hurricane.
bit of that tropical storm whose
Yeah,
name I can't pronounce.
I know, right?
I'm not on the coast, but I think it's going to like kind of catch us here too a little bit with rain the next couple of days. So it
Yeah,
looks like.
I saw in the weather that Charlotte was going to get the kind of the edge of it. So
Yeah, a little rainy
after
today, but that's all right.
passes.
It's taking a little bit of the heat off, which is fun. So yeah, it's good. Good for a Monday, right?
I'll tell you what, I've been up working since 5 a.m. and I feel like I know we're a little earlier than normal, but I was ready for a break. I was like, oh my goodness, I was getting.
Yeah, me too. That's a good timing. Good spot for a break today. It's been busy. Every day seems busy lately, but I had a weird thing, Trish. I don't really have any other outlet to talk about this stuff other than the show, so I'm just going to talk about it here. I know you're a fan of birds. You
I
enjoy
love
birds, watching birds, bird artwork, bird prints, and things like that, and pictures. I'm a fan as well. We did a show. I don't think it's actually run yet, but we did a podcast where we talked about our favorite ologies. Like that was the question of the day, and I picked ornithology as I think my favorite, which is the study of birds. So I read this item today. I just have to bring it up. It's a little bit of a setup, so bear with me.
Okay.
So there's a bird called a sociable weaver. It's a bird. Have you ever heard of this type of bird?
No.
I never have either. It's native to southern Africa. And one of the things that they do is really interesting is they kind of all work together in these giant trees to build like kind of communal nests or how nesting pods and things like that. Can weigh up to 1 ton. Like one of them, all these birds work together, like 200 birds get together. They figure it out, build this giant nest, and they all live there. And they cooperate to do a lot of other things too, like food and to raising the little baby sociable weavers as well, right? And so I was reading this article about studying of these birds because they're so fascinating and some of the things they do. But here's the thing that really stood out to me, why I wanted to bring it up tonight. The other thing that they do to cooperate with each other is they defend the nest against snakes and falcons. That was like so they do that communally. And all I could think of from that point on was, can you imagine that would be your life? Like every single day you had to get up and at least part of the day you had to think about how to defend you and your friends from snakes and falcons who wanted to come and kill you. I just think I would never stop. I would never be able to work on the other parts of the communal nest building and feeding. I'd be so focused on, oh my God, snakes and falcons are coming to eat me. What should I do? I would never stop thinking about it.
So
that's why I brought it up. I'm obsessed over this.
What comes to mind is that I think your interpretation, which could be correct, your interpretation is that every bird does community building, nest building, whatever, and then they also are defense. I think that's not the case. My guess is you've got those birds that are just a little out there, a little weird, right?
Okay.
They are the permanent nest community defenders, and that everybody else is the builder, right? Don't you think it'd be like people or other animals?
Okay, I didn't think of it that way. It could be. I kind of got off track on the article too.
Like that? Aren't there bees that just defend the queen, and then there are
I think so. I think there are drone bees and worker bees and bees that go out. Because remember that movie, Bee Movie?
Yeah.
It was like the animated movie. That was the whole point of that movie, right?
So
like the main bee wanted a different job. He wanted to go out in the world, I think, right? And go explore and instead of like being left behind to make the honey or whatever you had to do.
So I'm feeling like if you were, what did you call them, a social weaver?
They're called sociable weavers. Sociable. Name of the bird.
I'm feeling like if you were a bird, a sociable weaver, you would not be the nest defender. I feel like you would.
I think I would be. I think I would be. I think that's all I would think about. Like I wouldn't be able to do some other job worried that the snake and falcon was coming for me. I just would be so focused on that. I think I'd want to be that on the front line.
Defender. Sina, I think I would be the community builder.
Oh yeah, you would be. Yeah, I think you'd fit right in with the sociable weavers, Trish. I think you would like that. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I have a weird mind, and that I read that over the weekend, and I literally wrote down a couple notes about the story, and then I had to share the snakes and falcons bit. So that was
No, you
That
know
was a
what?
lot of my Sunday yesterday worrying about this.
I'll tell you what, I think that's what I like about the way your mind works is that so much of what we read or movies we watch or songs you hear or whatever, right, outside influences in the world that don't seem work related, you actually start thinking about them from a work perspective, you know? So, yes, as we think about animal behavior and human behavior, I love how it all kind of intertwines. I did the same thing this weekend. I'll tell you what, my daughter had never seen the movie The Notebook. Have you seen The Notebook? Do you remember that one?
I
It's
don't.
Ryan Reynolds and what's her name? Oh my God, Rachel McAdams.
Okay.
She was in Mean Girls the same year. So if you're familiar with Mean Girls.
I've heard of that one, but I've probably not seen it.
And James Garner and Gina Rowland. And basically it's the story of an elderly husband who is telling the story of he and his wife to his wife with Alzheimer's or dementia.
Ah.
And then, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Rachel McAdams.
Real uplifter here.
I know. So I hadn't seen it since 2004 when it came out. By the end, my daughter and I bawling, crying, like ugly crying, Steve. I was ugly crying. But I think, too, even watching that, it's when you start thinking about relationships and just how people work together and all of that. I don't know. So I think, yeah, it's interesting. You can watch a movie or you can read about birds, and the next thing you know, you're actually thinking about human interaction, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'll throw out a thing. I did watch some. I took a break from watching just ridiculous amounts of basketball because we talked about last week the NBA coming back, which it has, and they're trying to cram so many games into a short period of time right now.
I've been watching.
The games start early in the afternoon and just go all day and all night. And in fact, there's a game on right now. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't be watching it, but and I'm not watching it. But I caught this show a couple. I forget what network it's on, but it was on one of the cable shows. It's called The Alienist. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Trish. So it's kind of set back in like 1890s New York, really gritty, really kind of rough and tumble. And it's a kind of a mystery crime kind of thing, and there's like a psychologist guy, and there's a private detective, and then another dude involved, and it's super cool because it's like really authentic, and it looks awful too, by the way. Speaking of snakes and falcons coming to kill you, 1890s New York did not look like any kind of a picnic either.
Well,
like just dirty and messy and violent and awful. But it's based on a book. The reason I kind of caught it was based on a book that came out 20 probably years ago plus, called The Alienist. It was a novel, which I remember reading way back in the day, which was really, really good. So if you're looking for something, either book or TV, I do like The Alienist quite a bit. I've watched a few episodes of it.
It sort of sounds
also pretty gritty though. Yeah, what's that?
Was it like Gangs of New York at all? That was probably
has that look to it. Yeah, it's not like about gang crime or violence really, but it has that vibe to it. Yeah, that look, absolutely.
Yeah. Really, it was a rough time back then.
Have you ever thought about the ages, like the ages of man, like the Stone Age and the Bronze Age, etc. age?
Yeah.
I think like any of them would have been awful, but like to me, like once we, I'm just glad we're not unlike the sociable weavers. Like I'm just glad I don't live in like the run or you'll be eaten alive age, because I think that was a long run for us humans where, until we figured out how to get some weapons going, maybe a little metallurgy, maybe build a spear kind of thing. Develop that bow and arrow is a big deal. A lot of animals out there like kind of looking at us as,
Do you know when I wouldn't have survived? As a pioneer. I've been watching over this pandemic quarantine time. I've been watching a lot of these pioneer type shows where families are kind of trying to reenact and relive for a year, a whole, as authentically as they can. Man, that was rough. If you've got to do all the work and you have no modern tools, and we don't appreciate sometimes what we have and how easy it is. Like, I was thinking about that this morning. Today, before 7 a.m., I had already done like 3 loads of laundry, had the dishwasher going, had, breakfast done, animals fed, you name it. It was all good. And
yeah, no, I wouldn't have made it either. Like if I go to the bank and the dry cleaner in the same day, like I want to nap that afternoon. Like I feel like I want to take a little break from all my exertions. But hey, last week you mentioned one thing, Trish, about winners in the pandemic, right? What are some companies that are winning, or some organizations or some things that are winning? I saw this too, and I just wanted to mention it because we've done some stuff with them on HR Tech and some other things. I'll give you one winner, Trish. Tech
Okay.
company, ServiceNow, which I know you're familiar with, and
Oh, right.
big tech company have gotten more and more into the HR space over the years. I read an article today that they have increased their headcount by 20% since the pandemic. They've hired over
Haven't they really?
over 1,500 people, and including 300 interns. So I just thought that was notable as well, because so many companies of all kinds, right, have really had to adjust and downsize and furlough, et cetera. But this company, they do so much workflow-based orchestration, helping organizations get their technologies into the cloud from really all across this spectrum of enterprise tech, and been huge demand for that as so many companies have had to work remotely. So 1,500 people, because they made a vow, right? Their CEO used to be the CEO of SAP. When the pandemic started, he was very upfront. He said, "We are not laying off anybody. We're not going to do it."
Really?
He made a pledge, and it turns out not only did he live up to that pledge, or they also hired 1,500 people. So kudos to them. Want to shout them out.
Well, yeah.
We were looking for some pride, despite, me focusing on snakes and falcons and dying on the planes. That's some good news for us.
You ended it up with good news for the day from ServiceNow. So good job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the work break. We've probably got to get back to it. And thanks to everyone for listening, watching, comments. Keep them coming. If you have any interesting bird articles for Steve, please do.
Yeah, give me some bird trivia. Why not?
No, also, you know what? If you are at a tech company and you're doing something great and we don't know about it, let us know. Tell us. We'll talk about it here on the work break. I mean, obviously, we talk about ServiceNow, and it's that time of year. We're kind of in a lull from briefings, typically, but I know you've been doing.
I'll talk about that tomorrow. I've got a whole other story about that.
So
I'm knee deep. Yeah.
Let's start kind of getting some information out about some of these companies as we go into the fall season. So, all right.
Sounds awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.